Well, hello, everyone. We're here today because this is the star of the month. And what I decided to start doing is really honoring some of the students with the university as to their achievements. And I want everyone to know a little bit about who they are because we have some of the most amazing, interesting people at the University of Vedic Astrology. And so this month, I decided that there's somebody who deserved it more than anyone else. And it is my dear friend, colleague, and student of the University of Vedic Astrology, which is Shrikala Ram. Welcome, Shrikala. Thank you for joining us. And I have to say, we fondly call you Shree. So,
Shree.
yes, but I thought I might give you the formal introduction with your name.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I wanted to present you to the world so everyone can learn a little bit about you and how you came into Vedic astrology and how we met, because it's been a long time ago. And I just think you are so brilliant, and I'm so honored that you have, we've come together.
Thank you.
Pretty much you've helped me from the very beginning of the University of Vedic Astrology, because you used to come to my house and I would give you private lessons. It
was all one-on-one at that time. So.
I know, because that's how we started together. But
yes.
Tell us a little bit about you, how you got into astrology, and what your experiences have been along the way.
No, it's a fun story because it's a Joni story.
It is, yes.
So let me just back up and kind of tell you guys where I'm from and what my background is. I was born in Kuwait, but my parents, they come from a small state in the southern part of India called Kerala. And, growing up, I learned like 3 languages because I had to learn my, native language, and then I had to learn English, of course, and Arabic because I grew up in Kuwait. So my parents were, they were very much rooted in the culture of Kerala. So growing up, even though we were in Kuwait, we practiced all the, Malayali traditions and all the festivals, and astrology was a big part of it. Because in Kerala, everything is dictated by, going to an astrologer and finding a good date and a good time for whether it be a marriage or if it is a naming ceremony for children, anything that you're starting new, that kind of muhurta kind of astrology is very rampant. It's a lot in Kerala. Plus, also, people going to astrologers with their questions. There's, you will see these long lines of people outside astrologers' homes, and it's hard to get in on the same day because they don't have an online booking system like we do. But it was, astrology is part of day-to-day living in the culture where I'm from. And even though I grew up in Kuwait, my parents followed that. Anything that was important that they had to do, they would, call the astrologer, the family astrologer back home and get the time and date when things can be done. So I grew up around it. My father's father, my paternal grandfather, loved astrology, and he was kind of, that was the first time I kind of saw, how the charts are made. He used to make it all by hand. And Joni, you know what I'm talking about. There was no software back then. So, I know he also caught an error in my natal chart. He called my father and said, oh, that astrologer did that wrong. Her moon is not here, it's here. Because they didn't include the time zone calculation because I was born in Kuwait. And he was my first insight into the world of astrology. But I have to tell you, I was not that interested to get into it as an astrologer. It was just there. It was always around us. So I was accustomed to hearing about planets and houses and signs, but it wasn't to the point where I wanted to get into it and learn it. Because, I always had a scientific mind. So my vocation, what I really wanted to do was get into engineering, which, as you know, my generation, either you're a doctor, an engineer, or a lawyer. So I got into engineering, and I became a software engineer. I got a job even before I left college. Even like during my last year in college, I got like a wonderful job with an international company. So everything was great. But what happened was in the year 2009, and this was a particularly challenging Saturn transit for me. A very karmic lesson was going on at the time. And it was a time when I felt like I needed to understand why things are the way they are. You get to that point in life where you ask that question.
Mhm.
All this stuff is happening. You feel like you're a victim. And the question is, why is this happening to me? Can somebody answer that? And that answer wasn't coming from anywhere. And I think maybe because of my background, having grown up around astrology, people always talking about going to astrologers, I thought, let me go to an astrologer. Let me find out an answer to this. Like, why is this happening? I didn't even know my birth time at the time. I had to call my mother and find it out. That's how, less I knew about astrology at the time. Um, so, of course, I pull up Google, and I had only been in United States for what, 3 years at that time? 3 or 4 years. I didn't know anybody here. I had no family. And, I pulled up Google and I just searched astrologers in Dallas, Texas. And of course, the first search result that comes up is Joni Patry. And I didn't know you at all, Joni, at the time. All I knew was that Google gave me the search results. So I scheduled an appointment with you. But I have to be honest, 40% of me, 50% of me was skeptic at that time. I wasn't really, thinking that I didn't know how it worked, because all I saw was people getting dates and times for events and such. I never saw how it was applied to life. So when I came to you, I didn't know if you would be able to give me the answer. So if you remember, I came to you to that restaurant that you guys had.
Mhm.
And, and I remember you were sitting in that chair, you had the printed out papers, because at that time you would have the chart, you didn't have all this, I mean, I know you have the software, but you always printed it out because you like to see it on paper.
Mhm.
And the first 10 minutes of that appointment, and I still vividly remember that was a turning point for me, because I don't know how you knew so much about me. And it's just, you look at my chart, of course, you're looking at the fifth house and, the seventh house. Now I know how you knew that. But
Mhm.
at that time, I was like, what? How does she know this? I don't even know you, right? I mean, we are complete strangers. You're looking at my chart and you're saying this. So that was the turning point. That's when I realized, and that scientific mind of mine wanted to understand, how is this possible? How do we do this? And that's where, I didn't sleep that night. I didn't sleep for many nights after that, because I kept pulling up all kinds of articles, trying to learn, trying to analyze all of this by myself. We
Mhm.
didn't have a whole lot of YouTube back then. I know there were YouTube videos, but not to the, effect that you have now, So I did a lot of research. And then, of course, I came back to you for readings, and, I decided to learn. I came to you for lessons, the tutoring sessions that you had.
Mhm.
Um, you're so generous, because I remember I used to take the 1 hour lessons and we would always go over and I feel guilty. I'll try to pay you extra and you're like, no, no, that's okay. I love teaching. That's what you always said. I love teaching. And, I always kind of resonated with that, because I have Jupiter in my 10th house. So I love teaching too.
Yeah.
So it's just, that's how I met Joni. And I have to say, even though I tell people, yeah, I'm from Kerala, we've had astrology while I was growing up, but I always make it a point to tell everybody the reason I'm an astrologer today, the reason that, even though I'm a software engineer, I took that kind of a detour and wanted to go into astrology is Joni. That's all Joni, because that day in your office is what really got me intrigued about it, trying to understand how the whole thing works. But as you all know, Jyotish is the study of light, as it's perceived at the point of birth, or at the time a question is asked, or when an idea is conceived, or an event takes place. So that light and the emanated by the planets is what really captures the essence of that instant.
Mhm.
And it really does define everything about that individual. So when Joni looked at my chart, later on I understood, this is how you look at the planets, this is how you look at the houses. And it is a life map. It's a map of your life. And that's what Joni taught me, which I never saw growing up, that it's not just, of course you use astrology to, for muhurtas, and that's a big part of it. I'm not discounting it, but the part that I'm really interested in is how it can help people, because that side of it, when you look at it as a life map and you tell somebody, hey, you're going through this because of these aspects, you stop feeling like a victim. You're no longer a victim. You're now aware, and that awareness is half the battle won, right? Because when you're aware, you're mentally prepared for it, and also now you can take it one step forward and learn from it, right? It's a very enlightening experience. So that is what I like about astrology, and that's what I learned from you, Joni. How to help everybody with it. And I still remember I was sitting in one of your tutoring sessions, and something that was going on at the time, I was really upset about it. And you told me, Shree, just experience this, because this experience is what you will be able to use to help people in future. And that's stuck with me to some extent, because I was always thinking, why is this happening? But that gave me the answer. When you experience something, that experience helps you to help others and who are in the similar situation. So that's how I came into astrology. And that's why I stuck with it. To me, it's not just a tool or, just a way to predict a certain time and date and such. To me, it's a very enlightening kind of experience. It's your soul's journey. And it's very empowering when you see your client understand why certain things are happening the way they are, and how they can learn from it and overcome it. And I think that's why I still, to this day, I love it. And I'll never ever finish learning astrology. And I know, Joni, you agree with me, because as you know, it's just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more to learn, and I think this entire lifetime won't be enough. But I'm grateful to you for bringing me into it, and giving me this ability and this opportunity.
Well, I have to say, you were such an incredible student, because you really listened and you followed instructions, heaven forbid. Some people just cannot. But you followed the instructions, and I noticed, as you were learning, you were like spectacular with your understanding, and then you even took it to another level. I mean, really, you did. And you were there at the very beginning of the university, very beginning, when I just started all the videos. And it was so funny when we first started, because I didn't even have all the videos completed for the entire course. I knew what I was going to do the videos on, but I still had a few more to complete and down the road before people got there. But it was like this whole program that I devised, and you just,
I remember how worried you were when somebody just bought the whole thing.
I was like, oh my God, I have a few more videos to do. What am I going to do? So that was the very, very, very beginning. I forgot how many years ago, but now it's just, it's such a great, learning platform, because here, what my beliefs are, and I know you believe the same way I do on this, absolutely, is the way that we empower other people, empower ourselves, really, is through empowering other people. That's just the most wonderful feeling, to see people when they learn, they light up, they grow. And that's so empowering to me, to see that in other people. So as this university grew, and I gave all the basics that I have learned throughout all the years, and as you well know, a lot of my lessons are from experience. It's not just from the books or the slokas or any of the old text, which we base the whole principles of the Parashara system here with the whole course. All the basics are in here, but now everybody's broadening out to other aspects of Vedic astrology. And you, above all else, you took it and you ran. I mean, this whole system and learning came so natural to you. I know you were an astrologer in your past life. I don't know why it wasn't interesting in the
I think
very,
you told me that at the time, but I didn't really, later on it made sense to me because you said you have Uranus stationed on your ascendant. Uranus is the planet of astrology.
true.
And at the time I was into software engineering, so it didn't really like click at the time. But later on, when I was studying, I was like, oh, I remember Joni said this back then.
Yeah,
But I do have, like you say, the past life, Purva Punya,
right.
right? And there is a level of familiarity because when I came to you, it didn't seem like it was new, but
Mhm. Yeah,
what you were doing was new to me, but it still felt vaguely familiar.
right.
So that was it did have that past life quality to it. So I'm just glad I'm able to do it now. And I know I'm not perfect, and I'll never be, but whatever you've taught me, and whatever I've learned from the university is what I practice day by day. And I can see when I see somebody feeling much better after reading, feeling uplifted, even though the challenges are going to continue for a while. Now that they know why those challenges are happening, you can see the light go off on their face, like like, this is it, now I
Yes.
know.
Isn't it
It's like
wonderful?
you have the choice of either blindly feeling your way through life, or you have the choice of knowing why certain things are happening. And I think that really empowers a person. uh,
Absolutely.
and you always told me, Shree, always give a upbeat reading, never give a beat up reading.
Yes, because because really you and I believe the same way. We have to look at a chart as to what is somebody's best assets, what are
Yes,
their power, what are their gifts,
yes,
expound on that, get them
yes.
going that direction to be who they are, to find their gifts and to really expand that. And when they do, then they're living their life and
Yeah,
they're
the opportunities, the potential, the prosperity. you
astrology
know
tells us
um,
these things.
People feel like they feel guilty when they talk about money or prosperity, but you attract what you put out there.
That's right.
So, it's another little thing I learned from you. you know
This is so
uh,
true. You see it work. Yeah.
yeah, so when you give that upbeat reading, and or it's not that you're making stuff up, it's in the chart, right? You're looking at the chart and you're seeing these potentials, which the person is in such a difficult state right now, they're oblivious to it, they don't see it, right? When you give them that reading, they walk away with that feeling of, okay, I can do something. And
Right.
I think that's like, that's the first step to
It is.
that,
It is.
right?
Yeah.
So
So what I saw in you was an astrologer and a teacher. And so I empowered you and you took to it like, incredible. And I loved seeing that in you. And now you help me so much with the university. You help me, of course, with the technology, a lot of it, because what we're doing with the university is we have a whole platform of videos, but not only that, we have live classes.
yes.
But what I want to really promote all of my students to do is to create their own learning experience, their platform where they become the teacher. And Shree now has a semester on Jaimini astrology, which is, I mean, she is just the most perfect, wonderful teacher because she's so passionate and cares so much. And the learning, well, I told her, I said, Shree, to become an authority on something, you have to write a book. And when you're in the process of writing a book, you do all this massive research and you learn so much. And then again, when you become a teacher, you've got to know all the answers to the questions the students may ask. So you have to really learn your stuff. So in the process, I have to show everybody, in the process, Shree did write a book. And here it is, her book on Jaimini astrology. You can get it on Amazon and probably off your website. Can they go to your website?
Yeah,
And
there's a link on my website. My website is www.vedicliving.com, but
okay,
it is on Amazon. What Joni just showed, it's the Fundamentals of Jaimini Astrology. That's the book. And again, this again comes back to Joni because I had no intent of writing a book a couple of years before I even talked to Joni about this. And I also wanted to kind of go back to what Joni was saying about the university and how I help you, Joni. There is a selfish reason behind it. You know, my intent or calling, the feeling, the calling that I've always had, and the intent is that I want maximum people to learn astrology. It should get to as many people as possible. And the platform that you created, it's amazing. I mean, there are hundreds of students on there right now from everywhere, from all around the world. I mean, I think we have students from every single continent. I mean,
Yeah.
we haven't left a single one, right? Um, and it's just an amazing platform. So, you know, the reason I feel like this university, and I'll do anything within my ability to help and make it grow, is because it's a great avenue for people to understand astrology. What you've put together is not just any course. Like you very rightfully said, it's a course which is based on your life experiences. You can't get that anywhere else. And you know, how long have you been doing this? 40 years, 45 years, you know, it's a long time. It's a long time to learn so much. And you know, it, you can't really get that information in any book or anywhere. So I think, you know, just the fact that this is able to reach so many people is my selfish reason for, you know, wanting to help and bring as many people into astrology as possible, because it is a very empowering, enlightening tool that you can use. Everybody can use it. And then, of course, when we come to my book, when I first started tutoring for the university, you know, of course, like Joni said, we as tutors, you know, it's not like we know everything. We are learning every day too, right? When somebody asks a question I don't know an answer to, I go and research it. So that was very empowering for me, because you know, I've always wanted to teach, and in my line of work that I chose before astrology, there was no option for that. And teaching was something that was very close to my heart. um, and then Joni, I think you said one time, because I asked you, you know, what area should I focus on, because astrology is a vast ocean. There's so much. I mean, Jyotish, you cannot really hold it in the you know, cup of your hand and say this is it. You know, it's a vast ocean. And Joni, you said, Shree, why don't you research Jaimini astrology? And you know, that was, when you said it, I didn't even know what Jaimini astrology was. It took me 2 years of continuous research to get to a point where I felt like I knew something to write the book.
Right.
But it was amazing what I found out, and only because of you pointing me in that direction. And when you said write a book, at that time I was really scared, because I was like, me write a book? You know, I'm seeing, you know, a seasoned astrologer like you, like churning out books every year, but I never thought, you know, I could get to, I mean, even now I don't think I'm at that level, but writing a book was something that I felt was, I'm not going to be able to do it. And the first moment when you said it, I felt, no, it's not going to happen. But then when I started learning Jaimini astrology, it captured me. There is something about this form of astrology. Parashara system of astrology is amazing. It, you know, it is the all-encompassing. I feel like it's the superset over everything.
Yeah.
And Jaimini astrology is a portion of it. But what really sets Jaimini astrology apart from the Parashari concepts is the soul-centric view. It's very much a spiritual view of your chart, a spiritual angle of the chart. When you talk about the Atma Karaka and the Amatya Karaka, every sentence that you talk about in Jaimini astrology, it starts and ends with the soul's purpose or the soul's journey. That's always very, very spiritual. So that part really intrigued me, because like I told you, you know, when you want to help somebody, that's what you need to know, kind of how to guide them, right? And you don't want to give them the wrong advice, because you have too much power in your hands to misuse it. So that side of Jaimini astrology, that, you know, the spiritual side, the soul-centric side, is what really attracted me. And as I researched it, it just opened my eyes, like the Charadashas and, you know, the Karakas. And when you talk about the Argalas were an amazing concept. I mean, I know when I explain it to you, I go on, and you have to kind of stop me, because I can't stop talking about it. But the Argalas made a lot of sense to me, because whenever I looked at a chart from the Parashari standpoint, and I saw a lot of planets, amazing planets in a house, and I thought, oh wow, this would be great. This, you know, 10th house, this guy would have a great career. and it never happened. And of course, you can explain part of that through the Navamsha, right? Because it's a fruit of the tree. So if it doesn't carry on into the Navamsha, of course, it's not going to happen. But at some times, even if it did, I still didn't see that coming across. It would still be kind of a mediocre career, even though they have like an exalted Jupiter in the 10th house or something with all great aspects. That's where, the Argala system in Jaimini astrology really helped me, because it tells you whether the house is going to come into fruition. You have all of this there, but is the door open or closed? And that was amazing. And just like all the other concepts in Jaimini astrology. So when I got to the point where I researched it, and Joni, I think I asked you, how do we do this? And you said you need to look at charts. So I started looking at charts. I started putting together all these examples, because if you have to teach somebody, the best way to teach is through examples.
Exactly.
You can sit and talk about a concept forever and they just glaze over, but you have to give examples to keep them intrigued and interested.
Yeah.
So when I got to that point, that's when I understood Joni was right 2 years ago when she said write a book, because I think I may have enough to write a book now. Even then I wasn't 100% confident, but when the book came out and so many students read it and they said, oh, I just understand everything now. It was so easy to understand. It's so well written. That kind of gave me that feeling like, okay, it was a good thing, and again, Joni, it's only because you pushed me down that path. And and of course now, like I said, I'm writing the second book, the advanced concepts on Jaimini astrology. These are the fundamentals. I'm writing the advanced concepts, which will be the second book, and then I also have another book on on parallel tracks, which is going to be on how to make world predictions using astrology, where we talk about outer planets, because they are the generational planets. Then we talk about eclipses. Eclipses have a big role to play in world predictions. And everything that happens in the world today, everything is cyclic. It's, it has happened before, and then time passes and it happens again. It's, the cycles of humanity, right? I think that's what we call it. So I wanted to, this book is very close to my heart, the world predictions book, because I did a lot of research to find out every time a certain aspect or a certain eclipse happened, the houses that the eclipses are happening in. What happened the last time this happened, right?
Yeah.
All that research. So that's going to be a good book too. So that's what I'm doing now on writing the books.
Oh, I know it'll be good. Because I know you are going to research something to the most extreme, wonderful degree. And I know I'm going to be learning from you. That's what we do. We learn from each other. Nobody knows everything, and we're all learning together. And I thought, what a great thing to bring together all these brilliant minds in astrology that are passionate and learn from each other. So we started research groups with
the research group. Yes.
And there's one right now, like when we have a specific prediction coming up, such as the Saturn square to Uranus. What happened in the past when it happened every 12 years? And what happened when other planets came, such as this Mars is going to trigger it all coming up pretty soon here. But I have the whole research team go back and look. What happened before when we had a similar aspect going on? And we're all learning together through doing this research. But I
absolutely.
I love that you're going to take even the predictive tools down the road to a bigger place. And one reason why I say I go by experience is Vedic astrologers don't use the outer planets, but I know they work. So I had to find a way to incorporate them into the university in our learning, because they absolutely work.
They do. They absolutely work.
Absolutely. Yeah. Especially with world events, because they actually rule the collective, the unconsciousness. That's why they're not a part of the system of Vedic astrology, because Vedic astrology deals with the physical, personal side, but the outer planets bring out this connection we have to everyone else, our generations, and it deals with, as these outer planets aspect each other, it's the big waves of humanity and the big changes.
Yes.
That's the collective unconscious.
We're all connected to each other. I mean,
Yeah.
have you ever had that experience where you thought a thought and somebody calls you that morning and says the exact same thing back to you? That's just a example, but we are all connected. Our thoughts are all connected. And that's where the outer planets come in. And Joni, I don't think any astrologers, traditional astrologers use it, but in the university, in the course that you teach, you use the outer planets. And just because, I came from your university, I use them too, and they absolutely work, especially when they go over one of your personal planets via transit. You know very well about the Neptune Mars transit that I experienced. It really does work. Each time it goes over that planet, if it goes multiple times over it, like, it retrograde, direct, sometimes they go over it 3 times in the same spot. And each time there is an event, and you cannot ignore these outer planets. They are absolutely essential in making predictions. World events for sure, and even in personal charts when they are in connection with personal planets. So I'm just, I love your outer planets books, all 3 of them. They're my favorite, especially I think my favorite is the Pluto one.
Yeah, I think by the time I got to the Pluto one, I understood it all the more, because it's sort of like it was the unity of understanding all 3 of the outer planets and their effects on the world and world events.
Yes.
It just, while I was writing that book, I actually learned something, which is when an individual has a personal planet within a 3-degree range of an outer planet, there's something about their life that will be remembered after they're gone.
After they're gone, yeah.
It's amazing how all of a sudden I was looking at all the charts and I made that connection, especially last year when George Floyd.
I think he had all 3, right? Pluto,
He
Uranus,
had
and
all 3 connected to an outer planet. I mean, all 3 outer planets were exactly conjunct a personal planet. And look, he's remembered after he's gone.
Yes.
And I thought that was so astounding that just was like, now I get it. So, it's always through experience that we learn, in the practice of learning. So looking at that, what's been your experience with the university? Give people a little idea what your experience was personally being a part of it and how it worked for you.
When we first started it, and Joni, you know very well what I'm talking about, we had students, we did the lessons and everything, the webinars, but we were still trying to figure out the best way to do it. Yeah. And I think we got into the flow of it in the second or the third group of students that we had, because now what the university has become is it's just exponentially growing. As you know, my personal experience with this university is every lesson is, no matter how much, some people join the university, they say, oh, I know everything that's in the first semester, I want to start in the second semester. Well, no matter how much astrology you know, you'll still learn something new in that first semester, because that's the way it's built. They're all like building blocks on top of each other. And that's what I really love about it, because it's so structured. I always like, maybe it's a Saturnian aspect in me. I love things that are structured, easy to kind of, navigate. Everything is so easy to understand. And a lot of what Joni's talking about in the lessons in the university is from her experience. All the charts that she uses are all, what she has like used over her entire career. And then the best part, Joni, that I feel about the university is the webinars, the live webinars, because people feel like, oh, you did those videos, 10 years ago, I don't care. But when you come to the live webinars, they're like a fresh new class, which nobody has ever seen before. It's a brand new class, it's the current event charts, which have never been looked at before, keeps people engaged, and it's so much fun. I mean, yes. I've never felt like I'm sitting in a classroom in this university. It's a community. It's everybody comes together. I've made so many friends. It's hard to find like-minded people when you do astrology. In the outside world, people give you like those weird looks when you talk about planets and signs. But it's just, we found a way to bring all those like-minded people under one umbrella.
Yeah.
And, we have the Telegram group now. Everybody chats on the Telegram group. And we also have the research group that Joni was talking about. Gautam Gupta and Emily Butts, they put together, they're right now heading up the research group, and they're doing a lot of really interesting topics. And I think that is very essential because you don't want to be stagnant, right?
Right.
You have all of the stuff in the university, but we want to keep growing. We want to keep growing our knowledge on astrology, right? And that is what the research group does. It brings in the new concepts. Okay, so
Right.
that's amazing that they're doing that. And of course, we also have our book club, which is going to be tomorrow. In fact, everybody looks forward to the book club because it's a time when we all just like relax. We talk about a book. We have the author come on to the meeting, and the author talks about his or her book. And till now, we've done all of Joni's books mostly because Joni, you have written so many amazing books. It's hard for us to go outside that. so
But we need
so
a
we
little variety here, which we will get.
Yes.
And
And
so,
we do have a whole list of people that we're going to bring on board. So the book club is amazing. It starts with a 1 hour meeting, but it always goes for 2.5 hours because everybody loves it. It's just so fun, so casual. There's nothing about this university that's, binding. The classes, you want to take the classes, they're self-paced. Everybody has a life, that they have to live outside of astrology. And we understand that. You're not bound to, or you need to do one lesson this week. Okay. It's very much self-paced. And my experience, I have to tell you, the self-paced part was the best for me. Although how quickly I got through it because I just had so much interest in it. But just the fact that I could take the time I wanted to if I wanted to, that gave me a lot of freedom and in learning it. But yeah, it's been an amazing experience, and I can't wait to see what this university is going to do. I mean, it's growing.
yes, and we have many many that want to do a platform on medical astrology.
Medical astrology, yes.
That's where we're taking, all these different, the Draconas, there's all these different areas that I'm encouraging other students to become proficient about, because I want them to have their own learning platform, their own semesters. So, just like any big university, there's not just one teacher, there's going to be many teachers.
Many teachers, there'll be electives. It's just, and then coming to the platform, that has been amazing experience for me too. Once I wrote the book, if I wanted to put up a course by myself, I have to figure out, which platform to use and how to, get it set up. And it's just a lot of work. But with the university, being in the university, you have a ready-made platform. All you have to do is create the videos, put it on there. And I've already had 2 batches of students graduate from my Jaimini course, which is, if I had to do this by myself, I would not be anywhere close to that, like even to getting one group of students, to graduate. It's just amazing how, Joni has put this together, and everybody else, they're just plugging into it, as various entities, and it's amazing. It's an amazing experience, and this university has been godsend, because when you want to learn astrology, you start thinking about who do I go to, like I first found you on Google, Joni. I'm just glad, it's just like chance that I found you, but it's hard to find the right teachers and go. But then when you see this, university, and you see all the graduates, and that's another thing that I wanted to talk about. When you graduate from the university, you immediately become a tutor. So you get to tutor students, and that's an amazing experience because, like I said, you learn a lot from teaching. And then Joni is also empowering us to do readings on the university website. So if you go to the University of Vedic Astrology website and you look at book a reading with graduates, you'll see all the people who have graduated from the university, who have tutored for a while, and then they get into doing readings. And that is another amazing opportunity that Joni's opened up. So I think that's another, that's another generous side of you, Joni.
I know that all of you that have graduated, you know how to do a chart. I've given you explicit ways of making predictions, how to predict when someone will get married, how to predict when someone will come into money, how to predict what their career should be, and when will those opportunities come. These are all the questions that all the clients I work with want to know.
Yes.
And when I give you all the rules, what to do, I feel good about sending you out in the world and doing readings, especially the readings that I don't have the time to do. So I want to give to my students because I know you know how to do the work because I've taught you myself. Because remember this, I don't know that anybody knows this, but in the last semester of the university, I work with the students one-on-one. And I make sure that they know all the principles and that they can do the work and the predictions. And then for the very last exam, of course, you have to do a live reading with a real person. And from that point on, then, you know, I put you out in the world, and, you know, the way that we really grow in anything is through experience. So,
Yes, absolutely.
yeah, so I want to empower all my students to do astrology professionally, have it as their work and as their career, because to me, there's no better career in the world to help people, have fun with people, empower people to change their lives. I mean, what gets better than that? There really
Absolutely. I agree with you, Joni. And when you empower others is when you empower yourself too. So that's an amazing thing that you're doing. But I just wanted to like also thank you for the opportunity, because a lot of universities out there don't do this, you know, and this is an amazing opportunity. We're very grateful. And, you know, also for making me the star of this month, which, you know, I'm grateful. You know, it's an amazing opportunity.
Well, I got to say this, when you come from a place of gratitude, that's the most powerful emotion that creates abundance and wealth. So I'm so glad you are going to be bestowed so much wealth and abundance. And then you are so passionate and wonderful in your readings, and you help so many people. So Shree does readings through the university. So please check her out, and please check out her website as well, which I'll put down as a link down below. But I just wanted the world to know about everything that you've done, Shree. You've helped me so much. I am so grateful and such gratitude that we met and we become
Thank you, Joni.
very
Thank you.
dear
And you
friends.
know, of course,
And
like I said, you know, it's from you that I learned everything I know. And I'm glad you're giving us the opportunity. And you know, like you said, anybody who wants to come to book a reading, the link will be below this video. And if you want to buy my book, I'll put a link for that too below this video.
yes,
And hopefully, you know, I get to help people, because my only intent, like I said, the calling that I've always felt is to help others experience, and you know, the beauty and, you know, the wondrousness of astrology. It's just amazing how much it can do for you. So thank you, Joni, for showing us the path. And thank you for today, you know, doing this interview and calling me the star of the month.
oh, you're amazing. It's my honor, and I'm so grateful that you accepted and you're doing it. So thank you, Shree. And yes, I just wanted the world to know about how wonderful and grateful we are that you're in the world. So thank you. All right.